I think when the question is asked about progress and possibility, I always have to pause because we've come very far. And sometimes when you're in it, there's this quote that I love that says, when you're inside the bottle, you can't read the label. And I think because I'm in it, I'm in my industry, I'm in the world, it's hard to really pause and say, wow, look how far we've come here. Look how far we've come there. It's really difficult until you step back and get asked the question. So if I was to think about progress, what have I seen as progress in my industry? Well, my own lived experience is that in 2010, I set up my business, the National Accountancy Network for chartered accountants across England and Wales. And I built the business from my living room. And I had a belief system that I wouldn't be able to meet clients and talk the way I talk. So I started to change the way that I spoke. So I would walk in and say, hello, my name's Ife Thomas, nice to meet you. And I would embody this kind of character of who I thought I needed to be able to do business on that level with those people. And how things have progressed now is that that's not the case. I don't feel like we need to change the way that we sound to be taken seriously. Or maybe my experience is that maybe people are still dealing with that. But for me, I recognise that it's a difficult question because I'm saying things have changed, but maybe I've changed, or maybe the people I work with have changed. I don't know if it's a systemic change, because I'm sure if I had a thick Nigerian accent, I'd probably be taken differently. I think if English was my second language, I think I probably would be marginalised and people would judge me. So I can't sit here and say, oh, you don't have to talk with a posh English accent to be taken seriously. I think maybe I don't no longer feel that I have to do that. Maybe because I've already made all the connections and pushed myself through some doors. But in terms of progress, when I walk into a room as a black woman with a big afro, people don't immediately try and touch my hair anymore. That's progress. And if I say, please don't touch my hair, people don't get offended and go bright red anymore. People recognise that actually you've crossed a boundary. So I think that's really good. And I think in terms of change, when in 2020, when we experienced the death of George Floyd, I felt a shift in the community, in the corporate world, in every space. There was a shift because we were finally actually talking about the fact that there's black people. I think a lot of the time people would say, I don't see colour. I don't see colour. And I think 2020 was the first time when people actually started to admit that they saw colour. Because when you say I don't see colour, that means you're saying you don't see me. So in terms of progress, I think the world has progressed massively, that people can actually see black people and say that's a black person without feeling like they're saying something racist. So I'd say that's been a lot of progress. And in my industry in particular, which has evolved from the corporate finance space to the personal development space to the executive coaching space, what I see is that more and more people want to share their lived experiences. More and more people feel comfortable showing a messier behind the scenes of their life. Not everyone is performative now. I hear people say, I have social anxiety, I struggle with depression, I've got clinical depression, I'm on tablets. People are more open to share some of the real challenges that are happening in their life, where 5 years ago, you would never say, oh, I'm seeing a therapist, I'm doing personal development, or I have social anxiety. No one would say it. Or even to the point, as a mother with two children, one who's 12, one who's 14, I remember when I first was driving them to school and my phone was connected to the car, and one of my clients, an accountant, a white male in his 50s, rang me to ask me a question, and I was petrified my children would speak because he didn't know I had children. Because even then, I didn't feel confident or safe enough or in a space where I could tell my clients I'm a mum. So I used to act like I don't have children. And I just remember that. I was driving, the phone rang in the car, and I was like, children, don't say a word. bearing in mind my children were so young that wouldn't have made any sense to them, but I was thinking, please none of you cry, none of you say mama, because then I'll get found out. So the world has changed massively. Like, it's very comfortable to say I have children, and everything I'm saying is from my lived experience. So I'm sure there are women who are not comfortable to say they have children, because they know if they did, they probably would experience more difficulties. So from my own lived experiences, I've seen things have changed drastically.